Welcome to Pigskin Pointers, your source for fantasy football knowledge on YouTube and Twitch.tv. I'm your host, Ryan Phillip Lam. Welcome to the big show. Today, we're taking a look at the money position, the quarterback. Now, whether it's real football or fantasy football, the quarterback is a very important part of any team, fantasy or otherwise. Joining us today to talk quarterbacks, he is the lead singer for the amazing band Echo, Nebraska. They've just recently released their debut EP, Send the Ships, to rave reviews. You can pick up your copy now at iTunes, as well as anywhere music is sold online, or at echonebraska.com. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Devan Christodoulou.
Thank you. Stoked to be here. I know I'm a musician, but I am equally a sports fan, and especially a fantasy sports fan. So I love to be here, and I love to do this.
Absolutely. Well, it seems like you and I have been playing fantasy football together like forever.
Oh yeah, man. I don't even know. And some might say we've wasted our lives away, but I disagree.
Wasted our no, I would say it's just a creative way to spend our time. And hey, you're a musician. You are all about the creative uses of time, right?
Oh, for sure, man. That's the way it is. And so, we can talk about who spends time on what and, point the finger. But at the end of the day, it's all in good fun. So that's why we're here, right?
Exactly. Well, another reason why we're both here is that we've both won championships over the years, whether in leagues that we're playing with together or other leagues. We've both made quite a bit of money in fantasy football. How about your successes? Recently, you won a huge 20-man league. Is that correct?
I did. What one did I? Well, I was back-to-back champs before, and last year, no, I didn't fare as good, but I made a bunch of trades to position myself for this year. So I did the trade thing, and I guess I'm in keepers now, so it's a little bit different than when I was just in the regular leagues that non-keeper, non-dynasty. Yeah,
absolutely. And we are talking standard scoring leagues today with the quarterbacks as far as our rankings are concerned. And hey, we are going to be starting a Pigskin Pointers All-Star League, so I might as well go ahead and ask you right off the top, are you going to be a part of the Pigskin Pointers All-Star League this year?
Absolutely. I'm in. Now, it's going to be standard?
More than likely standard redraft 12-man league.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, because it just gives the viewers a chance to check out, see how we would do with our picks and whatnot. We're going to get a whole bunch of people together for the All-Star League, and we're going to do mock drafts for the next little while throughout the off-season, getting pumped and ready for this 2015 season. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked to be a part of it. That's awesome.
Awesome. And hey, this is a new show. We're introducing a ton of new things, so do bear with us. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. If you have any ideas for segments, what would you like to see on Pigskin Pointers? Go ahead, comment section below. Join us on Facebook, or you can also check us out on Twitter. We are twitter.com/Pigskin Pointers. So yeah, I appreciate you having you being on our first show, Devan. This is really awesome.
Well, thanks. Like I said, man, I'm stoked. I've always wanted to be a part. I spend enough time as it is doing fantasy sports, so I would hope that my input is somewhat relevant, although, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But.
Well, there are some people out there who have never won championships. We both have that championship pedigree. If you want to win your championship, definitely check out the content that we're going to be providing for you on YouTube, and pretty soon we're going to be doing some live streaming events on Twitch.tv. Now, it's funny, actually, when we were setting up this show, it turns out that our top 10 QB lists are actually quite similar.
Yeah, that's right. I like yours quite a lot.
Oh, thanks.
A lot of similarities going right all throughout your top 10, but there's a couple differences which I'm sure we'll go through as we go through your top 10 there.
As we go through the top 10, and as well yours actually. I do like one particular pick that I might have to rearrange my rankings after this, but let's figure that out later. Anyways, why don't we start off with our number one selection. Both of us have at number one the reigning NFL MVP, none other than Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers is poised to have another stellar season. Green Bay's best moves throughout free agency were keeping the players that they already had, bring them to the playoffs last season. And that continuity is going to help Aaron Rodgers have yet another stellar fantasy season. The Packers are slated to have one of the more difficult slates of games over the 2015 season. You know, they're facing both the NFC and AFC West, and it's typically a tall order, but the Pack, you know, they're without a doubt the class of the NFC North.
Yeah, I completely agree with this pick, and for the reasons that you just described, but as well, one thing I was a little bit unsure about is what they were going to do with Randall Cobb when they locked him down. Just because they don't really have that tight end threat, Cobb sort of kind of acts as that a little bit, you know what I mean? So
absolutely, like that safety valve in the slot, that sort of role.
Yeah, that kind. Yeah, he sort of acts as that sort of thing, and it's vital for how that offense moves. So, and of course, Jordy's by far their best wide receiver. So they got, like you said, they kept everybody together.
Yep.
He is hungry to win. Got
absolutely
kicked out, you know. So.
No,
I agree.
And it's crazy, too, when you think of it. Aaron Rodgers actually finished like 30 points, around 30 points, depending on, you know, how your league is scored, about 30 points ahead of where Andrew Luck, the number 2 quarterback, was last year. And he did that with about 4 games having a bum calf. Like, he was basically limping for a lot of those last games in the regular season, yet he still managed to put up points beyond anyone else. I mean, like, a healthy Aaron Rodgers, the same team, there's so much continuity with the Packers. I find it difficult to see them not repeating their success and maybe even faring a little bit better, and maybe it won't be such a finicky sort of playoff. Like, of course, that game against the Seahawks was a little bit messed up. It was a little fluky. You know, I don't see why Rodgers can't repeat as the number 1 quarterback.
No, I completely agree. There's no reason why he can't. He's got all the tools to do it. Like you said, the health thing, like that. He's just a stud. I mean, you can't say anything else more about him. He is the real deal. He can run the ball himself if he wants to.
Oh, yeah.
And
very underrated runner for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's who I would say is number 1 for sure.
Absolutely. And it happens that you and I actually have the same number 2 pick as well. Andrew Luck. Now, after taking one of the biggest playoff beatings ever, the Colts have spent the offseason loading up on reliable veteran talent. Now, the additions of weapons like Frank Gore and Andre Johnson to the mix of T.Y. Hilton, Dante Moncrief, Dwayne Allen, Coby Fleener. I mean, this makes this offense look scary to any opposition. They're going to be facing off against the AFC East, which will be a challenge, as it is notable that the entire AFC East defenses are going to be upgraded for sure through their moves in free agency. But they are also facing the NFC South, which is hardly threatening to this or, frankly, any other team, except for teams in the NFC South themselves. And, you know, the Colts' own division, you know, they've upgraded a little bit, but it really shouldn't be a problem. So they're going to be putting up a lot of wins, and I see them putting up some serious fantasy points this year.
Absolutely. And one thing that people tend to forget about, I guess, is the fact, like we talked about Rodgers, Andrew Luck himself is underrated runner. Like he gets you lots of yards and he'll run in touchdowns himself. People don't think about that with him because he is a gunslinger. He throws the ball around all over the place, but he has that in his back pocket. And with the addition of a way more reliable running back like Frank Gore, you can get the play action going. I just think this year he could be even better. And last year he was amazing. So yeah, he's very close to Aaron Rodgers to me. He might even pass Aaron Rodgers, but I have to take Rodgers number 1. But Luck is that's how good he is, I think. So
yeah, I totally agree. Like there it could be a situation where you're looking at a 1 and a 1A when it comes to Rodgers versus Luck. And with all the upgrades, yeah, there's no doubt that Luck is going to be having a fantastic fantasy season. And you know, on the graphics earlier, you know, we don't actually have the rushing yardage or something like that. We'll probably add that for the next time we do one of these shows, because the rushing yardage is such an underrated sort of aspect when it comes to drafting a quarterback in fantasy, and that's something that really needs to be paid attention to.
Entirely agree. It's just such a deadly stat that it's easy to forget about, because especially if you're new in a league and you're thinking about football, you're drafting a quarterback who's got the best arm. You're thinking of basic, football, who's going to be good at throwing the ball and not throwing too many interceptions. Well, yeah, that's important too. But if you have that extra rushing yardage, that adds so much, especially if they can run the football in the end zone themselves. That's just like money in the pocket.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Let's move on to number 3, a guy who does have a huge, big arm. It's Peyton Manning. Now, Peyton Manning is certainly one of the best passers in the entire National Football League.
Well, okay, wait a minute. Is that your number 3?
Yeah, that's
your number 3 space.
Well, that's who I have in. Yeah, well, I mean, you've seen the list. That's who I have at number 3. So.
Oh, I just think you're crazy.
Well,
then
what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, Peyton is gonna go down as, I don't even have to say anything. Peyton's gonna go down as one of the best quarterbacks all time.
First ballot Hall of Famer, sure.
Absolutely, there's no questions. He's broken. I don't know what record he is yet to break still. I don't want to say anything bad about him.
Sure.
But there's a few things I'm worried about when you're talking about Peyton Manning. I mean, the guy who I would put there myself, I'm looking at Russell Wilson.
Okay, so you're telling me that you would rather have Russell Wilson 3rd overall over Peyton Manning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but I would.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily crazy, Devan. In fact, I'm glad you disagree with me. This gives us a chance to roll out one of our segments here on Pigskin Pointers, and we're about to have what's called a ranked match.
Here are the rules of a ranked match. Pick the player you think should be ranked ahead of a player listed in my top 10. Make a respectful case for why your player is better in 3 points or less. If I agree, I change my rankings on the spot. If we disagree, we make a prop bet on the 2 players and track their progress throughout the season. And we take suggestions from the comment section on what the prop will be.
All right, let's get this ranked match started. 3 reasons why Russell Wilson is better than Peyton Manning and vice versa. Dev, you are technically the visiting team, so why don't you kick it off?
Okay, all right. Well, reason 1 for me, with the addition of Jimmy Graham as tight end, Russell Wilson finally has an elite receiver who can be an absolute nightmare of a matchup for opposition. This is something that Russell Wilson has never had. He's never had anybody near as good as Jimmy Graham to throw to. So when you have someone like that in the end zone, that increases somebody's touchdowns overall, as well as it opens up the entire offense altogether. So nobody's really used to Russell Wilson throwing a crazy amount of touchdowns every year. Because they got Lynch there to run the ball, so they're more known for the running game. But you add that chip, it's just one more element that we've never seen Russell play with, and I'm very excited. I'm convinced almost that alone is reason enough. But what do you say about Manning there?
Well, as far as Manning's concerned, despite being hampered by injury towards the end of the year, last year, he still put up fantastic numbers, as he always does. I mean, sure, he didn't throw his record-breaking 55 TDs or anything like he did a couple years ago, but he still put up decent enough numbers to get most fantasy teams into the playoffs. Now, if he stays healthy, I think he could probably split the difference between his last 2 seasons, and that would put him still at an elite tier this year. I mean, the loss of Julius Thomas, sure, that kind of sucks, but I don't necessarily think it affects him all that much. What's your second reason, Devan?
Well, actually, my second reason would kind of be your reason for against Manning.
What?
I think we saw the best Manning will ever do in that 55 touchdown season. And he was, after that, he was ranked number 1 overall, and I haven't seen that ever when a quarterback is ranked number 1 overall for many reasons. I'm sure you'll probably tell your listeners in later episodes.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Anyways, he's probably not going to be able. Actually, I guarantee you, there's no way he's going to be able to hit close to 55 TDs and be that kind of a threat. And he's aging, so I don't think he's going to be able to do that. Another thing I'm concerned with Peyton is I think they're going to, because of that age, and they want to make sure he stays healthy for the playoffs, they're going to limit his throwing, his passing. They're going to try to lean on the run a little bit more. And I think overall that is going to just lower his fantasy value a little bit. That's my reason too.
But, he could still do, like I said, if you split the difference, he's looking at a range of about 40 to 46 touchdowns. That's still elite status. You're not going to see many QBs being able to throw anything close to that, quite honestly, this year.
No, and again, it's hard for me to trash talk Peyton Manning because he's one of the greatest, and some will say the greatest all time, right? So. But here's the other reason then, if that's true. Let's say hypothetically.
You want to talk about his greatness. Let me just get my reason number 2 in there. Who doesn't want to join in on the ride that is what I predict is going to be Manning's swan song? Now, I know that there's talk about him playing beyond this year, but you know what? This is it. This is the whole enchilada. He's done, man. This is the last year, and he is going to go out with a bang. It is definitely going to be Super Bowl or bust this year for the Broncos. Now, I know that we've been saying that for years, but this is it. Like, not kind of like, oh, this might be it. No, this is it. And don't allow like I was saying earlier, don't allow the loss of Julius Thomas to lead you astray. There will be weeks where Manning's going to be able to win you the week himself. So, come on.
And that's true. There is weeks that he will have the ability to do that. And here's the other thing, though. I mean, does Peyton Manning run the ball into the end zone himself? I think he's probably done it 2 times his entire career, maybe. I don't know the exact stats on that, but it's probably very little. And Russell Wilson has the capacity to run in 2 touchdowns in one game himself. So you talk about a guy who can win you a week. When you have a quarterback that can run in the ball himself with all the other weapons they have going for them, Russell Wilson has just been year after year improving and getting better and better. He's younger. He's in his prime now. I understand why you would pick. I respect that you're going to pick Peyton. But I still think Russell Wilson is the better number 3 pick for me.
All right. Well, the good thing about having home field advantage means I get to say my last reason right now. With the Broncos they're no longer favorites to take the AFC, and it's almost guaranteed that the Broncos are going to be forced into more shootouts all season. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be behind, but you know what they do? They run up the score, and they're going to be competitive games where they're going to have to make sure that they put up a lot of points because they're not going to be able to defend the ball as well this year. So, yeah, I mean, Broncos points, yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. I get where you're coming from, and the Broncos being in that situation, running up the score. See, I don't think that though. I guess that's where we disagree because I don't think they're going to be a team that tries to run up the score now. They've been there, they've done that, and it hasn't really worked out too well for them. Mm-hmm. I think they have to change their game and try to manage the clock a little bit better and run the ball and slow the pace down a bit. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I understand it, but I'm still Russell.
No, you no, I get that. And honestly, though, when I think of it too, when you look at it, the biggest defining factor of this particular argument is it's Russell Wilson having an additional weapon like Jimmy Graham. Russell, he replaces Peyton Manning on my top 10 for sure. So great ranked match, Devan. Congratulations, kudos, you won the first ranked match ever on Pigskin Pointers. That is awesome. So, no doubt, you pair up Wilson with Jimmy Graham, it's a deadly combination. You gotta imagine Graham pulling down at least 12 TDs, getting pretty damn close to his personal best of 13 scores. Like, he's gonna be the major target that Russell Wilson's gonna go to, like, all year. I'm pretty sure that we're gonna see the highest numbers that Graham has been able to put up. Maybe not yardage-wise, but touchdowns, no doubt.
13? You think he's going to go 12 or 13?
No, he'll definitely go over 10.
I don't think so. I think he's gonna. I think he'll beat. I think 10 is the absolute max. 10 is the max. I think the Graham will hit 10, but do you think he'll think he'll hit over 10?
Yeah, no, he's going to go into the double digits, so he'll definitely go over 10. Yeah.
$5?
Sure. Well, okay, why don't we let the comment section decide? Let's bring up the 2015 props list, and there we go. YouTube, it's up to you. Devan says Jimmy Graham doesn't make it past 10 touchdowns. I got the over. What do you think? What sort of prop bet should Devan and I do? Put whatever you think would be an awesome prop in the comments below. The rules are that it, A, can't cost too much money, and B, has to be in good taste. Next week, we will announce what prop Devan and I will do if we lose the bet by the end of the year. And as always, if there is an injury to the player or players in question, the prop is null and void.
All right, so right on. So it's settled then. Russell Wilson is your number 3.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
We just made a bet. Jimmy Graham over under 10.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm in.
All right, I'm in. Cool. Well, YouTube, be gentle. Be gentle to us. Anyways, okay, so let's keep on going with our top 10. At number 4, we both have Peyton Manning. Now that Peyton Manning went down on my list, so we both have Peyton Manning. I feel like we talked a lot about Manning. So why don't we go on to our number 5, and that is Drew Brees. Now, despite the wholesale fire sale that's going on right now in New Orleans, no one can argue that Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks on the planet. He's recently shown a tendency to play better at home, but this year we're probably going to see a different trend because he's going to be playing some very winnable games against Philly, Washington. I do believe he has Houston and Arizona. Well, okay, that might be not the easiest, but I still think that they could pull it off. Drew Brees could potentially even be more dependable throughout the season, which is crazy to think given that they've lost so many players to salary cap hell.
Yeah, it can be. You think about it as yourself in a crazy situation over there where the Saints are living, but I don't know. Like you said, Drew Brees is just elite. Everything he does, the way how he handles the ball, he spreads it around so much. Losing an offensive threat like that is definitely going to hurt in a lot of ways. But when you're talking about one of the greatest, one of the best quarterbacks, he's still going to be elite. He's still going to throw a lot of touchdowns. He's still going to get lots of yards. So you got to put Drew Brees in there. It's just too much of a snipe show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, you'll, like I was saying earlier, the NFC South, it's going to be a wild division this year. There's so many deficiencies that, you're going to see a lot of those teams trying to build throughout the draft. But, honestly, with young players and positions, that not everyone's going to be playing up to their potential right away. So, I see those games, all those games in the NFC South as like loose slot machines. Those games could pull the right way and you could be looking at fantasy football jackpot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, why don't we take a quick look at our remaining quarterbacks. At number 6, we have Big Ben Roethlisberger, sporting the number 1 wide receiver in Antonio Brown, arguably the number 1 running back in Le'Veon Bell, and a fantastic supporting cast with Wheaton and Bryant. Roethlisberger is poised to put up some major points.
You know what? This is actually, I wouldn't mind talking a little bit about Big Ben here because I put him at the same spot too, number 6, but I think that there is absolutely potential for him to be top 3. And I know that's a stretch, but I'm just looking at all those players that you just mentioned and the depth that they have in all their receivers, the way that Le'Veon can catch the ball himself as well. I just think that Big Ben, we saw it last year. He had how many games straight did he put up 25 plus fantasy points?
I do believe it was 4 games straight later in the season, with 2 of those games, 2 in those 4 game spans being 6 touchdown games, which is just insanity. Yeah,
so we saw, and he's always been solid in regular football and in fantasy, but now that he's got all the supporting cast that he has, I wouldn't put it past him to be a top 3 quarterback, but you're probably safer to wait if the other guys mentioned above are you take those other guys above before Big Ben. But if you have him, yeah, you're loving it.
Yeah, no, you're that's for a number 1 6 quarterback overall, you are laughing. And I totally agree with you. If everything falls in the right way, there's no reason why he is not in that elite tier of say the top 3 quarterbacks. But the one thing that I'm just detracting him for, and the reason why he's only at number 6 instead of higher, is that he's going to have 2 to 4 games without Le'Veon Bell. Now, I'm not trying to say that D'Angelo Williams is necessarily that much of a slouch, but you're going to have a little less respect coming out of the backfield when the Steelers are playing those first 2 to 4 games without their star running back.
Yeah, no, that is definitely the case. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, things start to differ here. At number 7, you have the terrific Tom Brady. Why did you put him here at number 7, Devan?
Well, I put him here because he is, we want to talk about elite. He's one of the greatest. He's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks all time. I'm biased. I'm a Patriots fan, but I'm not going to go there with that. I'm just going to
full disclosure. Sure.
With what he did last year, I remember last year, after week 4, everybody was throwing him under the bus and saying he's done. That's it. He's no longer Tom Brady, terrific Tom himself. And then right away the next game, it was just explosion, and he was elite. And he's doing that with not as crazy as a supporting cast as some of these other quarterbacks have. But they understand the offense, and they move and respect Tom Brady so much that when they're running their routes, it's just perfect. And now they got, Gronk is healthy, so if he stays healthy, they got a consistent deep red zone threat all the time. Mm-hmm. And then you got Julian Edelman, he's just done leaps and bounds better than everybody
underrated.
Expected.
He's so underrated as far as the wide receivers are concerned, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. So there's that, and there's some other young guys, and I just think you don't know with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. They always find a way to scheme their offenses to be successful, regardless of who they have in their lineup. So yeah, no, that he's my number 7 for sure.
No, I totally agree with a lot of your points, and let's face it, I don't care how much the AFC East is reloading. As long as the Patriots have Belichick and Brady, they're going to be the class of that division. That's just the way it is. Get used to it. I'm sorry, Buffalo Bills fans and whatnot. But anyways, for number 7, I have Tony Romo. Now, Romo is going to be behind the leagues. He was behind the number 1 offensive line the entire year last year, and despite having a difficult schedule upcoming here in this 2015 season, I feel like Romo's proven that he can be capable against, some of the more difficult defenses in the league. And he just does this by sheer volume, great pass protection. He can really get the job done. And if Romo can keep healthy this year, there's no reason why he can't have another banner season like he did last year. At number 8, we both have Matt Ryan, a fantastic candidate for a bounce back season. Now, Devan, what do you think is different about Matt Ryan this year as opposed to last year?
Well, I think if they can get there, I don't really know. To be honest with you, I'm a little like, he's got Julio Jones, of course, but he's always had Julio Jones. But now Julio's coming off; he's going to be fully healthy again. And with the addition of I can be frank with you, I'm drawing a blank right now. I don't know why he is.
Do you want to know? Well, do you want to know why you're drawing a blank? As far as all those players that the Falcons have added, they're all kind of like there's some very smart moves that they've made throughout the offseason, but they're not like these big ticket names that you're seeing in free agency. They're not huge contracts, but you know what? That's the smart way of dealing with it. What you want to do is you want to get good value within free agency, and then you go to the draft and you got to restock for the future, and that's something that the Falcons kind of have to do given their current cap situation.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I'm just a little bit worried about their O-line, but
yeah.
I mean, he's proven even last year he had quite a few games there where he was putting up some big points. So it's just I really would like them to find a good slot receiver or a tight end or something like that because ever since Gonzalez is gone retired, Matt Ryan hasn't really been the elite MVP that people thought he was going to be. But, he does definitely have the talent. It's just only a matter of time before something happens for him.
No, absolutely. I feel like his talents are getting squandered behind, like you said, he doesn't really have an O-line. I don't mean to poke fun, but honestly, like that's one of the worst, like that's like in the bottom of offensive lines as far as last year Pro Football Focus was saying. So like the fact that he could do even that behind what was essentially a shambled sort of offensive front, it's still pretty impressive. At number 9, I have Tom Brady. I can't really add too much to what the Patriots fan has already said. You're the expert. AFC East gotten stronger, but who cares? It's Brady and Belichick. At the 9 slot, Devan, you have Cam Newton. Tell us, why do you think Cam cracks the top 10 this year?
Well, I was worried about Cam because for a good part of last year he was just really underperforming, and I don't know if it was a combination of him just overthrowing his pass. I think it was a combination actually of, now that I think about it, him overthrowing his passes and the receivers not running the right routes or not getting there in time. A combination of those both. You have a rookie wide receiver in Calvin Benjamin coming in the system, learning everything, learning that offense. On top of that, Cam Newton was playing injured with cracked ribs, I believe, in the first 4 games of the season.
Yep.
And he toughed it out. As the season progressed, you saw Cam Newton be Cam Newton again, and he was deadly and becoming elite. And I think now with a whole new offseason, Calvin Benjamin knowing the system a lot better, you're gonna see a dominant Cam Newton that will definitely be able to win you weeks with some 30-plus points here and there.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. And like we were saying earlier in the show, one of the things that Cam does that's just so fantastic is he can beat you with his legs, and he is ridiculous. For someone who's that big, who's that tall, for him to move as fast as he does, for him to be as elusive as he is, yet still have like a complete cannon of an arm, like Cam Newton's one of the better quarterback prototypes, in my opinion, in the league, and I totally agree with you. I have him in at number 10 for myself for my own list. Why don't we round out the list with your pick for number 10?
My pick for number 10, I think I took Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, that's an excellent choice, man. Matthew Stafford is amazing. Now, why did you choose him for that spot?
Well, I was having a difficult time between Matt Ryan and Matthew Stafford, juggling between where I'd put each of them. But I pick a couple of reasons. I was looking at the historical stats of Matt Stafford, and he usually has 1 year on, 1 year off, kind of. He has that sort of rhythm. And he's got Megatron, and Megatron, he's been a little bit, last year he was injured a lot of the time, so he never really got to fully gel. You never got to see the full Megatron. And from when I was looking at those historical stats, every time Matthew Stafford had an awesome year, Megatron also had an awesome year. So
Yeah.
I think that Megatron is back this year, and because of that, Matthew Stafford's going to reap the benefits of that,
Well,
which
you
makes
have
him
to-
a really good.
You have to imagine that the NFC South is going to be recognizing now, like when Megatron did go down, towards the middle of the season, all of a sudden you have Golden Tate coming on as a legit threat as a wideout, which is like, we've known that for years. Like us being on the West Coast, we've watched a lot of Golden Tate. We've watched a lot of Seattle Seahawks. It's just kind of the nature of the, where we're at geographically. And we've known for a while that Golden Tate is an excellent wide receiver. So if you get a healthy Golden Tate and a healthy Megatron, Calvin Johnson, you have Matthew Stafford could easily once again, that. It's another thing, like with Ben Roethlisberger, they could easily be elite this year for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Yeah, and that was actually the pick earlier in the show. I was saying, hey, there's this one pick that you made, like Matthew Stafford, that is fantastic. It's so hard to shoehorn because there's so many good quarterbacks in the league. It's almost like, if you're doing, a standard 12-man league, it's going to be difficult to not pick a good quarterback this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. So when you're drafting, you gotta think about it. There's so many different ways you can draft your team. I mean, these are just 10 quarterbacks that we've mentioned. The only difference that in my list is I don't have Tony Romo
Yeah.
there. And he easily deserves to be in in the top 10 for sure. But the only reason I'm a little bit hesitant is I'm just with DeMarco Murray gone. I don't know where they're going to do. He kind of needs to have the running game going strong, so that opens up the offense there. And a little bit worried about his injury problems. But he did touch on that, saying that, if he does stay healthy, he could be elite. And they do have one of the best wide receivers in the game in Des Bryant. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's just an example. Like, that's one guy I had to leave out who I didn't want to leave out,
Yeah, exactly. And I think you and I are both totally agreeing on that. So we've ran out of time for this show, but Devan, where can our viewers catch your stuff?
Oh, yeah. So you can listen to my band, Echo Nebraska. You can go to echonebraska.com. Everything is available on there. We're on iTunes as well, Bandcamp, anywhere online. You can check out our music video that we got up on YouTube. If you just go Echo Nebraska, Hey Allison. The song's Hey Allison.
And it's a fantastic song. Sorry to interrupt you, but fantastic song. Amazing music video.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
of course. And what about your social media? Where can we find you there?
We're at just at Echo Nebraska is our Twitter, and Facebook.com/Echo Nebraska.
Rad. So what sort of do you have any plans for touring this year? Like, what's going on with you guys?
We're in the midst of trying to book some micro tours. We're all working men, so we got to do it on the weekend when we got the opportunity to organize something. We're trying to hit up the island, the BC interior, just right now, just getting ready for that. And we got a show coming up. We got a bunch of shows. I don't know when you're gonna actually
probably
air this.
Midweek. We're aiming for Wednesday, so.
Okay, well then we got a show Thursday, the 19th of March at the Hindenburg in Gastown, Vancouver.
Sweet. And I'm going to be there as well, so if you have any questions about fantasy football, why don't you hit me up right live at the bar? And hey, I am not adverse to people buying me alcohol.
No, I don't think anybody should be.
No, I don't think so either. Well, Devan, thank you so much for joining us on our first episode of Pigskin Pointers. I can't even get the name right. I'm so excited about this new show. What did you think? Who do you think will be the biggest difference maker at QB this year in fantasy? Let us know in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and all of that awesome stuff. Please follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/pigskinpointers. Join our Pigskin Pointers group on Facebook. It's public. It's easy to find. Just search Pigskin Pointers. That'll be the first thing in your browser window. I'm Ryan Phillip Lam, and I'll see you next time for Pigskin Pointers.